I'll take this opportunity to actually make a recommendation. I see the flash sessions are for publishers and vendors. I recommend changing that to publishers and partners, or those in this space. I think that's I think it's a very connected industry, and we all play a role in that. And that actually made me realize that of the 9 flash sessions, there's no publisher presenting in any of these sessions. So I definitely encourage all of you to join. I think the semantical piece from Andrea this morning with the Wiley journal, with the Wiley side was an example of a journal contribution or a publisher contribution, but this is open for all to participate in and to showcase some of the things that you're working on. So I definitely recommend that you do so for future sessions. And then with that, I'm going to bring to the podium my colleague Nigel Robinson, who is the product manager for Data Citation Index. Very great transition to this topic. He came from Biosis to Thomson Reuters a number of years ago as a degree in zoology, and has really made some great progress with the Data Citation Index. And I'm not sure what's going to be shared, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Jasper. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Data Citation Index, the progress we've made in the current status, and then say a little bit about what we're doing in 2015 by way of development. So this, will be fairly fast in places, a lot of text on some of the slides, but hopefully you can get the presentation afterwards. So the Data Citation Index provides a means to discover, but more importantly, track citation of data to give a more comprehensive evaluation of scholarly output. And we're doing that by initially looking at data repositories. So we're now aware of about 1,200 data repositories across the world, but what we're finding is a distinct lack of metadata for attribution and citation. And this is a failing in the deposit. And that's important because we're looking right across this whole spectrum of the sciences, including arts, humanities, and social sciences. A lot of material, different formats, different types of metadata. And the metadata is important. You'll see that as we go through in our selection process where we're looking at editorial content, but we're also very importantly looking at persistence and stability. Will the data be there in a few years? Is the metadata there, and can we link it to literature? We have very low requirements for the metadata, only these 7 units, which allow us to identify it, attribute it, and link to it. And these are the elements we need for creating and tracking a data citation. So we receive material from a repository, working very closely with them by way of a metadata feed. We normalize and enhance that, and we can build it into our Web of Science platform so that we can drive out metrics and citation counts as a first step. And we do that by creating 3 levels of record. One for the repository itself, but also for all the constituent parts that are stored within that repository, the data studies, the experiments, and the data sets themselves. That means we can integrate the material into the Web of Science so that we can do a search and bring up literature and data in the same search, so data is raised to a first-class research object. We can also provide a navigation between those 3 levels, so you can navigate from a repository to a data set to the contents of that repository, and back and forth on that. And we're also finding that most of our users are actually doing a literature search, finding an article, then looking at the data that we've linked to that article to go to the data in the Data Citation Index, and using the literature search as the route to go to the data. We associate them together, and once they get there, they can link out to the repository to download the data. This is all governed by the repository's own terms and conditions and licensing. So we're providing that link out for all those 4 million records that we have. And because we're linking the data and the publication together, we can start to build these citation maps. So we can start to give citation counts. We can start to list the references that have actually used the data that's deposited in the repositories. And one of the key pieces is data citation and getting people to do that. And because there's a lack of standards, we're actually providing a recommended data citation format based on the DataCite guidelines. So we've built this infrastructure to track data citation using repository data as a seed. We're now looking to expand our content, expand our citation capture, and bring in some citation tracking tools that people can use. So as we look beyond the actual data repositories and into the wider data world, we'll be going into the non-traditional scholarly output, things like software, methodology, and things like that that are important. With the citations, we're looking to capture and link to publications for both the informal mentions of data within the full text of the article, and also the formally cited material in the bibliographies. And in January, we'll have a web service which will enable people to look up which articles have used a specific piece of data. So overall, we've got this discovery platform which is based on fairly classical lines of citation measurement at the moment, linking publications to literature, measuring citation and reuse, and this will help us drive out new metrics for digital scholarship. Thanks very much.